welcome to the Steve and Crypto Show, brought to you by thestevestrout.com. If you've been enjoying the show, why don't you take a moment and visit our Buy Me a Coffee page, buymeacoffee.com/SteveCrypto, and consider kicking a little something to the show to help us improve and keep it going and make it the best we can. If not that, take a minute and leave us a review or a rating wherever you listen to your podcasts. Now, on the last episode, we started our conversation with the horror host, Hall of Famer, and multi-time Rondo winner, Dr. Gangrene. And we talked a bit about his career and how he got started in his first 20 years of being a horror host. And this episode, we continue with part 2 of the conversation with Dr. Gangrene. And we dig in deeper into this year's Rondo Awards, the 19th edition, and his award-winning interview with the horror icon Bruce Campbell. And before we get to that interview, we would like to remind you guys to go visit our friends at Fright Rags. Fright Rags has been bringing you the best in horror apparel and accessories since 2003, offering a wide range of products for your favorite current creature features, slasher flicks, and cult classics. Now they've once again teamed up with their friends at EC Comics to release a collection of all new shirts featuring the mastheads of famous titles like Tales from the Crypt, The Haunt of Fear, and The Vault of Horror, each on a different colored tee as well as brand new lounge pants. It's all officially licensed and available now at fright-rags.com, and Steve and Crypto Show listeners get 10% off when they use the code SteveCrypto10 at checkout. So head over to fright-rags.com, use our discount code, head over to buymeacoffee.com/SteveCrypto, and support the show. And now enjoy part 2 of our chat with Dr. Gangrene.
Hey, this is Dr. Gangrene. You're watching the Steve. No, you're not. You're listening to the Steve and Crypto Show right here on whatever network you're on. I don't know what you're on. Don't ask me. I can't see what you're doing, but keep listening and tune in next week for more cool content on the Steve and Crypto Show.
Well, since you're talking about successes, you've had a recent success with the Rondo Awards. You won the award for the best interview with Bruce Campbell, who is, a horror icon. That's pretty exciting. Congrats, by the way, on another Rondo Award. I mean, we're talking to you on Zoom and video chat, so we can see your background. You have a collection. You got like a little Rondo Award collection going.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. So it looks like you got to make a little space for the new one when it arrives. But
I moved that speaker out of the way and a little drive-in speaker down there. And
so you already been thinking about it. Okay,
brethren there. Yeah, that was for Scary Monsters magazine. I think it was number 116. It was an interview with Bruce. It was fun. Great guy, like we were talking about before the show. He's just like he is when you see him on stage at these conventions. He's the lovable, affable, smart ass, funny guy that you see on stage. That's Bruce. I mean, he's great. And the story you mentioned before, I'll go ahead and tell it now. So we're doing the interview and we're chatting, we're having a good time, we're talking, whatever. We get done and he's like, so, tell me about yourself. It's kind of that part of the interview, which sometimes you do it before the interview, sometimes you do it after, but you just kind of chit-chatting a little bit, just kind of breaking the ice. And I looked down at my recorder and I realized that the batteries were dead. And I was like, oh crap, did I even record this? And it just completely threw me off my game. And I just kind of stuttered for a second. I said, Bruce, I'm sorry, man. I just realized that my batteries died on my recorder. And Bruce goes, well, I guess you'll just have to recreate that from your vast memory. Okay, see you, bye, click. and that was it. But fortunately, the whole thing recorded. I only was missing like the last minute of what we talked about. And I remembered what we had talked about, but it really wasn't anything that was vital to the interview at all. So thank goodness I got it, and it ran. And I tell you, the coolest thing about that interview is the fact that came up that he and and Sam Raimi, went on the Ghoul show as kids. They were big fans of the Ghoul, and they went on his show, and they showed one of their short films. The Ghoul showed one of Sam Raimi's movies on the Ghoul show. And that just was really cool. And this was like the first time I said, so Bruce, you're telling me your first professional appearance in any of your films that was ever shown on TV or anywhere was the Ghoul show? He goes, yeah, I think that would be accurate. I was like, that's amazing.
That's a cool story.
That's cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very special for them.
So
yeah,
when you interview somebody like Bruce Campbell, because like me personally, I'm learning how to interview people and talk to people. When you interview somebody like him, who's obviously done hundreds, if not thousands, of interviews, how do you like approach that without wanting to feed him the same old BS that people feed him, the same old questions?
Remember that movie he did with that book in it?
Yeah.
That was cool.
That time you did that thing. Yeah. I just try to be as prepared as possible. Come in, be professional, be prepared, have my list of questions that I want to talk about. And really when I prepare ahead of time, I go over my questions for like a whole week ahead of time. I'll write and rewrite them out and make sure that I really get them the way that I want to. But while we're talking, I'm always open to listening to what he's saying and not just locked into what's on paper. That's my guideline to go by. But if the conversation goes somewhere else, I will definitely say, oh, so tell me more about that. What? Oh, yeah, really? So I think it's all about being prepared, not acting like a weirdo, and just, be a professional.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing that ruins it for so many people. Some of these guys, these professionals, they run into these bozos who are just so unprofessional and just treat them like garbage. I remember I was watching on YouTube. My son was showing me this what is that little idiot's name? This guy that does these interviews at a lot of bands. He'll interview and he'll come up and he's got this little character he does, and he'll stick the microphone in their face. And I remember.
Is he a Canadian guy?
Maybe, little guy. And I remember him talking to Alice Cooper and it just acting like a jerk. And Alice was like, what is this? He said at the beginning of the interview, it was like, hey, Alice. He goes, hey, Alice. Or it was like he was saying, hey, stupid to Alice. He kept saying, hey, Alice, hey, stupid at the beginning of the interview. And Alice was like, what? And he was trying to get him to react to what he was. Anyway, my point is, these people run into so many unprofessional interviewers that it taints their experience to the point where they don't want to do it at all. And a lot of these guys will ask you when you reach out to them, how many subscribers do you have? And they won't do an interview unless your podcast or your show or whatever you're doing reaches above a certain number, because they've dealt with so many unprofessional people that it's really unfortunate that it ruins it for the rest of the people who are trying to be professional, trying to be kind to these folks and be, really have a good time with them and help spread the word about their work. But these people are ruining it for the rest of us. And it's really unfortunate.
Yeah. And it's the sad thing. The saddest part is, I think that there's people that out there watching that enjoy that and feed into that. And it's like, how do you enjoy that? Like I watch an interview, I want to learn about the subject because I'm interested in. I don't want some idiot trying to make them look bad, or you know what I mean? Why do you want to interview them if you just want to shit on them? Basically.
Exactly.
Yes.
I mean, there's an unfortunate group of fandom who thinks that it's cool to tear things down. Then like that's the whole mindset of a lot of the younger moviegoers, is that any movie that's old only has value to be the only value of an old movie is to make fun of it. It has no value other than to laugh. Its laughability, its ability to be laughed at. All old movies are bad. You only laugh at old movies. They suck.
Yeah,
they're only to be mocked. And I think there's a lot of people that feel that way.
And you see it more with the internet too. So, but there's so many people that kind of hide behind their keyboard and can have their big voice, but in actuality, they're just small people that.
It is true, but I tell you, I go to the midnight movies at our local art house theater. Well, I used to back when they just reopened. Yeah. It's called the Belcourt Theater in Nashville. And at the midnight movies, you see it, a lot of the younger crowd laughing at the movies they're showing. I'm like, there's nothing to, what are you guys laughing about? I mean, it's, they're there to do the Mystery Science Theater thing. They're there to mock this movie and to laugh at it. And they're having a good time, granted, but you're ruining it for everybody else. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Now a lot of those people are taking it to YouTube and making their own channels, their own Mystery Science Theater things on YouTube now. And,
sure.
I know there's an audience for it of kids the same age as them that probably dig it. But yeah, I see where you're going with it. We're like, why are you kids laughing at this? Like, it's, just accept it for what it is. It's a classic movie, and they did what they could with
somebody's
with
creation.
The budget. Yeah,
somebody created that. That's like you create a child, and somebody comes and laughs at your kid. Like, do you like that? No,
exactly.
No.
And when you're in a theater and it's full of people, it's just this would be a perfect place, Steve, if you've got the time to play my little PSA from Gunnar Hansen that I shot. I'll send you a link to that.
Hi, this is Gunnar Hansen with a frog in his throat. And that's because he was tasty. I just want to say you're watching Chiller Cinema with Dr. Gangrene. Oh, and I wanted to say, kids, if you sit at home and you watch movies and you talk, when you go to the movies, shut the fuck up.
Back to Bruce Campbell. Did anything about him surprise you? Like, was there just like a regular dude vibe to him, or was it like?
Yeah, no, he was a regular guy. It was a good little chit chat, just like any of the other interviews I've done. He's a cool guy. I've talked to a lot of folks now over the years, both for the TV show and for the magazine, and it's always an honor to talk to these folks, and always a blast. I always have a good time with it.
Well, I'm sure glad that you were actually able to keep the audio from that, from that conversation, because, I'm thinking if you would have had to fill in the spots yourself, it would have just been maybe his catchphrases, like, blah, blah, blah. And then his response, groovy. His response, boomstick.
Right. No, it just wouldn't have happened. It's just, I would have had to. And I don't think I would have got him a second time because, why would you go back on somebody's, do an interview with a guy that's that unprepared? But I could have sworn I put the batteries in before we started. We were talking about how before the show about changing batteries,
But hey, you won an award for it. So
yeah.
Could have been so bad. Then the Rondos.
The good thing about it is I didn't do any campaigning this year. A lot of, times people get out there and they just, spam the social media and really campaign. I did none of that this year. I mentioned it one time on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I didn't even put something on my website about it. It just slipped my mind. I've just got too much going on. I didn't mention it. So I really was not expecting to win anything, and it really did come as a surprise to me.
That's cool. So like I said, the Rondos are like the Oscars of the horror community, basically. Is it?
They're more like the People's Choice Awards because they're fans.
That's a good way to put it.
That's good. But well, what does it mean to you to win a Rondo Award?
Oh, it's special. I tell you, it really is. This is going to sound really corny, and people are going to go, yeah, whatever. But it really is an honor to be nominated because that's where you're put on the ballot and chosen by the folks that run the Rondo Awards. You're put on that ballot, so it's an honor to be on the ballot. to win is very special. I appreciate everybody out there who voted for me and who thinks that my work was worthy, or they enjoyed it and saw value from it, or if they just voted because they like Bruce Campbell, whatever reason. It's cool, but I think it's awesome. The statues are amazing. They're such cool little thing. Here, I'll grab one for you. They're cool little guys, about 5 inches tall, and they're just neat. That everybody cool. Wants one of these things, and
that's neat.
Yeah,
it's definitely a distinguishable mug there too. So,
and
that face.
It totally is that face. And, all the accolades should go to Dave Colton for doing this. A lot of people I see are shitting on David because, he should have put this in there, and he left this off the ballot. How could he do that? This guy does this, does this whole thing just for the love of the genre. He doesn't get anything out of this. He's not making money off this. He's doing all this work. He counts all those ballots by hand. Yeah. That's why he has people that do this through. That's why he sets it up to do it through email. It's because he wants to read everybody's email, and he personally responds to every person. It was over 6,000 voters this year. He wrote over 6,000. Thank you, appreciate your email, whatever. Thanks for voting emails. And I mentioned to him, I said, David, and he pays for these things out of his pocket. These statues, he pays to make those.
Wow.
I actually told him one time at Wonderfest one year, I said, you should consider having the winners pay for their statues. Just, it's not fair that you have to do this out of your pocket. Go ahead and make the awards for free, of course, and people can win. But if you want the statue, you pay $20 and I'll mail you a statue.
Yeah.
Just to help cover the cost of making them. And he wouldn't hear it. He would not do it. He said, nope, I don't care. So,
doing it for the love.
That's love right there. Yeah.
He's really given the horror community something special with these awards.
Nice. Well, hey, since we're talking about the Rondo Awards, I made a list of a few of my the categories that interest me the most, and I want to see your thoughts on some of them.
Sure.
So I'll go through and just mention the category and the winner, and see if you have any thoughts on any of it. If not, then we'll just move along.
Okay.
Usually the top one is usually the best film of the year. Went to The Invisible Man, which I really enjoyed. I don't know if you watched the Invisible Man movie.
I have not seen The Invisible Man.
You haven't seen it
I
yet.
Still haven't either.
Wow.
Yes.
So I guess we can just move along on that, but
but I want to.
It was good. I definitely suggest checking it out. It was good. It's obviously nothing like the original. It's a completely different story, very modernized, but I loved it. It's a beautifully shot movie. It was good, but okay. So,
it's not a monster movie. It is, but it's not. It's not like the Universal movie. Yeah. And I will get around to seeing it for sure. I meant to see that, and it just, for whatever reason, didn't happen. 2020 was a weird year for movies.
I think that might have been the last movie I actually watched in a theater before COVID really grabbed. So I think that kind of probably played into a lot of people not seeing it.
Yeah.
But
I voted for the last movie I saw in the theater, which was Color Out of Space, which came out right at the beginning of 2020. And there was a few categories I just voted because, I wanted to vote in every category, and it's like, okay, I know what that is. So, or I watched that, or I read that, so I'm going to pick that one. But it's one thing I really like about the Rondo ballot every year, because it kind of gives you a good list of stuff you should check out. Absolutely.
That you never heard of. That's the best part of it to me.
Yep, exactly. Discovering new stuff and helping spread the word. 100%.
Like I didn't know there was a restoration of War of the Worlds.
Yeah, I haven't seen
which
that either.
won for best restoration, but I didn't even know that they released that. So it's like, okay, I need to find and check out this restoration of the classic. But other cool stuff, best TV presentation, The Mandalorian got it, which, I mean, I don't know how it kind of falls into the horror category, I guess, because there's a lot of different creatures and monsters in there, but
yeah, I mean, horror is, of course, a broad definition. What is horror? You know, it's really genre, sci-fi, horror. It's all the genres for a lot of those categories.
So you feel it kind of falls under.
It's not
sci-fi horror, yeah,
but it is sci-fi, and I think sci-fi fits the ballot.
Right.
Yeah,
that's fair enough. Fair. Did you watch?
That's what I was thinking.
Did either you guys check out any of the other stuff like Lovecraft Country, What We Do in the Shadows, which I thought was amazing. That series is hilarious.
I watched an episode or two of that one.
Yeah, I didn't see any of that. I saw a little bit of What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah. That was a fun. The movie was amazing. That's probably one of the funniest movies in the last 15 years, I think. But Creepshow got an honorable mention too, which I think they did an awesome job.
I really like the new
that
Creepshow.
Yeah.
I really wish they would give the creep a voice. It really bugs me that he doesn't have a voice.
I agree. Yeah.
The thing that really throws me off is you look at the comic book panels and he's talking in the comic book panels, so he's clearly got a voice, and we heard his voice in Creepshow 2.
Yeah,
I don't know why they don't just use that voice.
You hear him laugh, but they just won't give him any actual dialogue. Yeah.
No, and I get it. They're trying to make him not like the Crypt Keeper, and he looks so similar.
I was thinking the same.
But if you go with that voice from Creepshow 2, that deep "Hello, Billy" voice that they used, it sounds nothing like the Crypt Keeper's cackling. So
right.
I don't know.
That would have been cool though. Maybe it's
trying to go more off of the way the creep was in Creepshow 1 instead of 2. They're kind of just like, we're going to not worry about 2. We're just going to base it off. And he didn't speak in the first one, so
right.
I love the introduction, to every creep show, just the live action and the lightning flash, then it's comic animation. It's really cool. I love the way they put it together.
But I will say this about the new Creep Show: the music for the new Creep Show is fantastic. They got a great score on that thing.
But I think a lot of it is just the people making it are just love horror and they love Creep Show and they love that stuff, so they're just like putting all their heart and soul into it. They're making what they would want, the show they would want. So I think
they're trying to bring it back, and it's I'm glad it exists. I watch them. I've watched every one of them. It's fun.
Yeah. I just wish they'd give us more than 3 episodes at a time or whatever it is.
Right.
I just wish we get more than that. It's such a little tease, and then we got to wait a while.
I personally like how we're getting an episode weekly though.
Yeah, that is cool. I like that.
That's like I've mentioned so many times on the show that I love when they give us a weekly episode, just because it reminds you of being a kid and looking at the TV guide to see what time your show is on and plopping down in front of the TV every week at the same time for that, that your weekly event of your favorite show or program or.
They're doing that. I'm glad they're doing that with Joe Bob on Shudder too. Although I will say this about Joe Bob. I wish that he would just do one show instead of double features and spread it out twice as long. Right. The double features are cool, but I'm old and I never stay up for the second one.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was watching. I started your movie, which we'll mention in a minute, last night after I watched Joe Bob, and I was like,
"Oh yeah, no,
tired."
Forget it. Yeah, after you watch both of them.
Yeah.
No, forget it. No,
and sometimes the second movie. Usually his second movie is the weirder of the two. So it's like it's even a little more work to kind of wrap your mind around it. So by the end, you're just like exhausted. Like, oh man, I just got off work or something. It's fun, but
I do his second one on Sundays. So I watched the first one. I watched the second one just long enough to see what it's going to be because curiosity is killing me. And then I go to bed. I was like, oh, I'll watch it Sunday. But if they just did one, they could spread it out twice as long. So instead of, 2 months or 8 weeks or whatever it's going to be, it'd be 16 weeks.
Yeah.
20 weeks.
I'd be for that.
But it is nice to have something to look forward to, like Steve was saying, and even though we can go stream it later, the next day or whatever, people like us that love the genre so much are still like, no, Friday night, 6 o'clock,
Every Friday night I'm sitting there, my Twitter in one hand and Joe Bob on and just bullshitting with all the other mutants that are watching, and just it's a good time. It's an event, I look forward to it every week.
People used to say appointment television is dead, and this just goes to show you that's not the case.
Nope.
Yep.
It's not. It's on Shudder every Friday. Shudder also won Best Documentary Series with their Cursed Film Series. If you guys watched that at all, I think they did a pretty good job at that. Did you watch that, Crypto?
I haven't got to that one yet. No.
Oh, man.
I need to.
It was good.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, I love a good documentary.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Couple more things I want to mention from the Rondo Awards is Best Magazines, Best Modern Magazine is Fangoria, which basically relaunched recently. Or were you one of the people that was reading Fango back in the days, or were you?
I never did read Fangoria back then. Not much. I mean, here and there I would, but I wasn't a big advocate. I was a comic book guy. I didn't really.
Yeah.
That was my jam, was Spider-Man.
Yep. That would be. I would pick up copies of Fangoria. Like, we'd be at the supermarket and Mom would be shopping, and I'd be over in the magazine aisle or next to the comic spinner rack there, and just reading through comics or magazines, and I would look at Fangoria or old wrestling magazines or all that stuff. That was my exposure to Fangoria. But Best Classic Horror Magazine was one that you actually write for. It was Scary Monsters, which is one that we like too. Like, we actually put our ad for our show in the latest issue, which was kind of cool to see us in print and, in one of my favorite magazines. But how long have you been working with Scary Monsters?
Oh man, it goes way back to when Dennis was the editor back in the 2010 or something. It's been a good 10 years at least, more than that. I don't know. I had to go back and see. I've got it. I've got all my old ones on my website. I could pull it up and tell you. What was interesting about that? But the ballot changes every year on the Rondos, and what was interesting about that category was that this year it just said Best Magazine, and then it had all of them listed. But he gave awards for classic. And last year, I think I don't know if in previous years he had them separated on the ballot or if he just gives awards and separates them at that point. But he gave them separately for one ballot, 2 awards for one category. So
it kind of makes sense. So I mean, they're both, kind of a completely different kind of thing. Between Scary Monsters is very retro throwback to old monster magazines, and Fangoria. It's like its own thing. You know what I mean?
When you think about it, the classic magazines are the embodiment of the heart and soul of what the Rondos are really about, more so than the modern ones, really. But the classic magazines could never beat the modern magazines because they don't have the same subscriber numbers. So Rue Morgue was the one that won for years and years. Nobody could top them, and now Fangoria is winning. It's going to be one of those magazines that has a bigger distribution nationally. They would just win when you're talking about a popular vote kind of contest. So by making it 2 categories, classic and whatever, what's he called, the new one? modern.
Yeah, modern. Yep, best modern.
Classic and modern like that. He's able to honor both, which is amazing. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Because they're equally important. I'm just saying that classic monster movies and all that is really kind of where the Rondos grew out of.
Yep. Yeah. That kind of plays into my favorite category is the best horror host. Somebody like, Svengoolie winning again. Not that he doesn't deserve it, but just based on his exposure, there's his audience is larger, just like the higher subscription rate to Fangoria versus. There's
been hosts who have complained privately and publicly both about Rich winning. It's 10 of them now. He's won it 10 times, not in a row. There were a couple of times in between there where Penny Dreadful won twice and Count Gore won once. But to them, I say, you know what? Just do a better show than him. I mean, here's the truth. Svengoolie's going to win. It's going to be, and if it wasn't Svengoolie, it would be Joe Bob. They've got national platforms. That's fine. Again, it's not a contest. Okay, guys? This awards show is a popular vote. It doesn't mean that your show is a lesser show or that you suck and they're great or whatever. Just don't get offended. Be happy. I congratulate Rich every year. I need to write him and tell him congratulations again this year. Yeah. I stood up when last time I won a Rondo, which was 2 years ago. I stood up at the awards and someone had mentioned that there was talk of whether he should retire himself from the Rondos. And I said, absolutely not. I said, the real reason he wins the award is because he has a quality show. He does a great show. If his show sucked, nobody would vote for it. Yeah, he has a wider distribution, but if he did a shitty show, nobody's going to vote for him. They vote for him because he's funny as hell. He does a great, entertaining show. A lot of people watch it and they love his work. Why are you going to be mad about that?
And really, it's kind of puts the whole genre on the map. You know what I mean? So all these people complaining should be glad that, like, okay, there's somebody with that much exposure gives it more of a chance for somebody like, what is this horror host stuff? Let me go research it. And then, Dr. Gangrene pops up, or, you know what I mean? Somebody else, Mummy and the Monkey pop up. You know what I mean? It's just, we need somebody at the forefront like that to kind of pretty much use their exposure to lead the way, which it like you said, and it's not a competition.
Exactly.
But I'm sure Svengoolie is not worrying about competing with anybody. He just wants to make the best show because he's a pro.
Yeah, exactly. He's just trying to make a funny show. He doesn't care what anybody else is doing. I guarantee you Svengoolie's not worried about what Dr. Gangrene's doing on his show on Saturday nights, and vice versa. I mean, and I actually watch Sven. I don't watch every week, but I do watch his show.
Oh, yeah.
I think he does a great show. He's funny. He's got his show down to a science now, and the songs are great. And I mean, whatever. I'm a fan of his, and I guess I think anyway. That's it. That's all I got to say. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that. I think people just need to get over themselves. It's fine.
Pretty much.
I told Dave. I said, don't let him retire. Rich said that he had actually mentioned to Dave Colton that he was thinking about retiring it, but they wouldn't let him. And I think that's the right thing. Really, if he really wants to be off the ballot, I don't want it anymore. Take me off. Take him off. Sure. But I don't think he does. I mean, I'm sure he's proud of winning them.
Yeah.
And he should be. Again, because if he did a terrible show, nobody would vote for it.
Nobody would vote. Exactly. Yeah.
And we know our people, him and Joe Bob both are probably pretty humble about it. And I'm sure they're not holding it above anybody's head. They're not probably not feeling like they're better than anyone, so it's just, that's the way it turned out. I mean, they won this year, but there's still hope for other people next year. So like you're saying, just do your thing, stick to your own path, and whatever show you're doing, just hope for the best next year
and keep it fun.
And have fun. That's bottom line. Have fun with it.
Exactly. Have fun and be honored that you're on the ballot and people can see your name, and they might go, oh, there's so-and-so. I mean, who is that? I need to check them out.
Exactly.
And who knows?
I know I'm doing that.
Yeah. And so maybe you'll get some new fans from being on the ballot, and just, again, just make the best show you can. Have fun with it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So what are some of the most important categories for you to vote in every year?
I always vote, of course, I always vote for best movie every year. I voted for Color Out of Space. I will vote, of course, for myself, usually in most categories.
I don't like that guy. Take him off the ballot. No.
that Gangrene guy sucks. No, get him out of there. No, but I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends on what I've watched or read, or I don't vote in categories if it's something that I haven't seen or whatever. I don't go through and fill every category out.
Yeah, there has to be something in there that I've been exposed to. So
yeah. And so I have gone, like with the short films, I have gone through before and watched stuff that's on the ballot, since the links are there, to try to pick. Magazine, I always vote for Scary Monsters, and cover, I always pick my favorite cover off the bunch. That glow in the dark Scary Monsters cover this year was pretty much a knockout.
Yeah, that was
fantastic.
That was pretty awesome. That one won, right? Yeah,
it did. They had a split vote. They had a tie this year in that category.
Okay. Yeah, that was a good cover though.
But yes, it did win.
They put out some really cool covers on that book, anyways.
One of my favorite. They do. They really do. It's always great. One of my favorite categories is the Hall of Fame. I love voting in the Hall of Fame and trying to pick people that I think should be inducted. And I'll always pick some retro horror host and champion them, like Morgus, getting Morgus in a few years ago.
Yep.
I'll always vote for at least one older host, and then some different ones that I think should get in. Like I would love to see Bill Gaines of EC Comics fame, the founder of EC Comics. I don't think he will, though, because I think that Dave considers him. Colton told me one time something about the Rondos are for second generation fans, meaning not that first wave of Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi and Christopher Lee, but the second wave. It's more about the people that they influenced. And so the fans of that first wave is who he is targeting. So the horror hosts who are hosting that original first wave of people. But I kind of see EC Comics, I guess they could be considered that first wave. I mean, whereas I guess the classic horror hosts are still showing movies of those classic guys still. So like John Zachary was hosting Bela Lugosi movies.
Yeah.
So Zachary is eligible.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess it makes sense. But I'd still love to see Bill Gaines get it.
Yeah.
And then Alice Cooper. I'd like to see Alice Cooper win one.
Yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, he kind of brought he definitely brought a lot of horror imagery and stuff into music.
Oh, man, he was one of my big discoveries. In sometime late 70s, I was going through a box of stuff at my grandmom's house, nosing around in the closet, pulled out this box of tapes. It was my uncle's, who has since passed away, but going through there, and I found 2 Alice Cooper cassettes. I was like, what is this? And I put them in, and it just blew my mind. It was Alice Cooper Goes to Hell and Welcome to My Nightmare. I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever heard in my life. My life was changed. So,
yeah, the first time I ever heard him was on the Muppet Show. So I was probably like 3, 4, something like that. And he was in like a graveyard setting or something, and he was performing Welcome to My Nightmare with a bunch of like puppet ghosts floating around, and then some little monsters dancing with him and everything, and I was hooked from there.
Yeah, great stuff. So he should. I mean, Lux Interior got one from the Cramps, so I think Alice Cooper should.
Yep, for sure. So yeah, that was some of the important. Not that any categories are not important, but that was some of the major categories in the Rondos this year. Yeah. Everybody should go to the Rondo Award site and follow them on social media and get involved and vote next year. Even though it sounds like David's been pretty busy, counting, what did they do, like 30% more votes this year or something like that? Some crazy
over
number.
6,000. Yeah. And the write-in categories are cool too, because people can just write in their favorite writer or their favorite artist who they like. If there's an artist out there you follow, you can vote specifically for that person.
Yep. I know we had a few friends that wrote our show on the multimedia thing, but I mean, it didn't make it. But maybe if they do it earlier next year, we'll get on the ballot. That's like one of my my life goals.
Okay,
at least get nominated sometime.
Well, what you need to do is go over to the Classic Horror Film Board and have someone nominate you over there, because they accept nominations year round. So go to the Classic Horror Film Board. It's a film. It's what do they call that?
Yeah, I think I'm a member of it. I just don't look at it much. Or don't.
Yeah, no, I don't look at it a whole lot, but occasionally we'll pop by and kind of scroll through. And I tell you, I have looked at it more recently though, because something else Dave started doing, just again for the hell of it. Back at the beginning of 2019, he reached out to me and said, "Hey, what are you putting on your show this week?" I found, this is what he's saying. He said, "I found that most of the horror hosts give out almost no information on what they're showing from week to week. So he's got a place on there where every week he gathers up info from what the horror hosts are playing, and he posts it every week on the Classic Horror Film Board. Hey, this week Svenguli's showing this, Dr. Gangrene's showing this, Count Gore's showing this." He goes, does it every week just for the fun of it. So, but they've got that place on there to take nominations year round for the Rondos. So
I never realized how much he puts into it. It's crazy. Like, so he pays for all the awards. He takes the time to round up all this info about what the hosts are showing, and he
responds to everybody.
Yeah, that's
and there's no way one guy can get everything. That's why he takes nominations year round, because he can't see or read or listen to everything. There's no way. It's impossible. Nobody can. So so if there's something that you want to see on the ballot, go over and put it and make a nomination for it.
Nice. Well, you
Put
guys,
the Stephen Crypto Show.
There you go.
Over there and nominate.
There you go.
You guys like us, do it. Or I know there's a lot of great artists out there that definitely deserve it. So if you know any cool artists or performers or hosts or some kind of creators in the horror genre, head over there and nominate them.
Let's put it this way. If you're listening to this show, I guarantee that you know at least one person you could probably nominate for this. At least somebody who's creative and, could be in one of the categories.
Yeah. That's cool. Hey, before we wrap up our little Rondo Award chat, let's run through one more time where everybody can watch you now and find you on social media.
Okay. You can social media, you can just look for Dr. Gangrene on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. My website's drgangrene.com. And if you want to watch the show, it's Saturday nights at 9:00. So as soon as Svenguli's over, flip over and watch Dr. Gangrene, which I have a lot of people say they do. It's kind of cool. He used to be on at 9. When he moved to 7, that means that we're no longer on the same time slot. So it's perfect. You can find me on the NECAT station. That's our cable access station out of Nashville, Tennessee. I'm on the Arts channel. It's on the Roku. Look for the NECAT channel, NECAT, and tune in to the Arts link Saturday at 9. Or you can go to their website, necatnetwork.org.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you, Dr. Gangrene, for hanging out on the show. We had fun chatting and hearing a little insight on some of the Rondo Awards. Congrats again on your, how many awards do we have now?
This is number 8.
Number
actually.
8.
Yeah. And I have 8 awards in 6 categories.
8 awards in 6 categories.
Pretty good.
Yep. I haven't got that best horror host yet, but as soon as I knock off Svengoolie, I'll get it. I'll take out Svengoolie and Joe.
I'm coming for you.
No, just kidding. Obviously.
That's funny.
No,
we need all those guys. We need all the horror hosts, and we need more people to support you guys.
Right.
It's fun. Like I said, it's fun.
Yeah, having a blast with it, man.
Have a blast. That's what everything should be. That's what all forms of entertainment should be about, having fun.
Yeah, I agree.
Not just trying to pick stuff apart or crapping on anything. Just enjoy it. If you don't like it, move on to the next thing. But just find what you enjoy and have fun doing it.
Yeah, the ones that don't enjoy it don't usually stick around very long because it's work. They get into it and they realize real quick, damn, this is a lot of work.
Yep.
And it is, but yeah.
But hey, thank you again.
Okay, thank you, man. This is a blast.
Thanks for talking with us.
Appreciate it. Good luck with everything going forward, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, thanks to Dr. Gangrene for hanging out, and thank you guys for listening. Don't forget, visit our Buy Me a Coffee page, leave us a review, keep spreading the word. We appreciate it, and we thank you guys for listening.